What's going on, people? It's your man, the YB, back once again. So, Taylor versus Catterall 2, the rematch. What can I really say here about this fight? Listen, at the start of the fight, I had $20 on Catterall. And then the missus got on my ear, telling me, oh, I like Josh. And Josh was in the pad room, in the warm-up room. He looked sharp. 2-2s. I think it was early in the fight, early rounds. In the first, or maybe, I don't know, X amount of rounds into the fight, or maybe it was before the fight started, I took the bet off. And obviously for the first 6 rounds I was reeling. Why'd you tell me to take the bet off? He getting his ass beat. However, after about 6, Jack Catterall's legs fell off. He lost his gas tank. And if you watch the odds, so I think Catterall peaked at about a 7-1 favourite, 6-1 favourite. After round 6, I believe, Catterall went from a 50-50 kind of fight to a 6-1 favourite. Yeah, the odds at the start of the fight were 50-50, 1-1, approximately. After round 6, it jumped to 6-1 for Catterall. And then, I don't know, about the 8th or 9th, it had flipped again, back to 50-50. So I cancelled my bet, yeah? Bottled it at the start of the fight. Then when it went back to 50-50, I put a tenner on Jack. And then I bottled it again. I thought I don't want no parts of this. I saw some combination from Taylor. I didn't want no part of it. And the reason I'm giving you that context, so I made no coin here, but the reason I'm giving you that context is to say that I'm not mad I didn't bet on this fight as such. I'm not mad that I could have made money, because it wasn't that kind of fight for me. It wasn't a fight where it was as obvious. When I bet you, I only bet if I think something's obvious. Before the fight, I thought it was obvious Catterall was going to slick him up. Catterall, before the fight, was talking about, oh, I'm going to get it right this time. The truth is, Josh Taylor almost made up. Clearly, Catterall's the better fighter. Yeah? I don't know how he does it. He doesn't look that... It's hard to explain, really, what he does. He reminds me to some extent of Joe Joyce. Obviously, Catterall's much more slick, but his mannerisms... His jab don't look all that, but it pops you in the head. Or at least pops Josh Taylor in the head. You couldn't miss with it. It's like he had a magnet. It's like Josh Taylor's head was a magnet and Catterall's hand was just out there. Particularly in the first 6 rounds when he was sharp. But when he ran out of gas, yeah, bearing in mind he knew how close the first fight, or he knew how controversial the first fight was. I just didn't see that oomph in him. I didn't see that killer mindset, and it was a shame, to be honest. Catterall, for me, has one gear. He can only fight at the pace his body has. There's never a change of gear for him. He had Josh Taylor rocked at points. There's very little follow-up. He boxes at one speed. His tricks as such, his shtick, Jack Catterall's shtick, is clearly handy. I'm not sure how well it's going to translate, though. Because what tonight also showed for me is that Josh Taylor is well and truly, he's a shot fighter. In my opinion. His legs have gone. Many times he'd back Catterall to the ropes, yeah, and then he'd get maybe one shot off, and then he'd kind of his hands wouldn't be able to go. He'd get there, get something off, and then he'd almost be pausing, waiting to get hit, and he'd get popped. He was very he'd do all the hard work. Many times he had Catterall against the ropes, and so the hard work's done essentially. Now it's time to get in there. The best fight to watch for that, I watched it back this morning, is De La Hoya versus Floyd. De La Hoya versus Floyd, yeah, he'd get Floyd back to the ropes, and what Canelo couldn't do, Canelo may get Floyd to the ropes, but he didn't have that tenacity. He didn't have that, oh, I might take a shot here, but I'm going to get a few off here. And the thing is, it's not as if Josh Taylor's apprehensiveness was saving him. He was getting popped flush anyway, so he may as well have, I'm not saying be reckless, but the times he had Jack Catterall against the ropes, I mean, there was points in the, I think, the 8th or the 9th or the 10th where Catterall looked finished. In them points, Catterall looks finished. Catterall's wheels fell off. He kind of had I wouldn't call it a second wind. He had like a 1.5 wind. He had a 1.5 wind in rounds 11 and 12. I think he rocked Josh in round 11. But up until that point, up until the 11th round when he caught Josh with that shot, it looked like it was going to be a 50-50 fight again, if I'm honest. If Josh Taylor had won rounds 11 and 12 decisively, I reckon I probably would have given it to Josh. Why? Josh was clearly outmatched. And you man can do whatever scoring systems you want. Oh, I'll do the point system. I'm not really interested in that. Yeah, my thing's more spiritual. Jack Catterall, we all agree, is the fresher fighter. He's the fresher fighter. He's clearly, I'd say, at this point at least, 5 years ago, would he be more technical than Josh Taylor? Who knows? At this point in time, Catterall's the fresher fighter, younger fighter, more technical fighter. And yet, he was the one out of steam after 6 rounds, and he was like kind of cruising still. Not feeling sorry for himself, but he wasn't desperate to win. No one can watch that fight yet and tell me Jack Catterall, bear in mind before the fight, I'm gonna show levels this time. Technically, he showed levels to some extent, but there wasn't the oomph behind it. When he got tired, ultimately, he's kind of happy to. If Josh Taylor had a bit more about him, if that makes sense. If Josh Taylor was a little fresher, he'd lost the fight again, and he'd said, "Oh, I've been robbed." No, same as the second fight. The first fight, Catterall was good for the first 6-7 rounds. He got tired, and then he let Josh Taylor back into the fight, and exactly the same thing happened. The difference is, Josh Taylor's been pinged around by. Josh Taylor had a hard career, and his fight style was hard. Yeah, I put Josh Taylor's heart up there with the greats, if I'm honest. His technical ability and other things, his strategy is whatever, but his heart almost gets in his own way. The first fight was the same thing. Josh Taylor's so desperate to get on top of you. Same as Teofimo, he's just running in. And he wasn't running in and even doing much. He's running in and then pausing. He'd run in, get there, get where he needs to be, and that's a shot fighter. He'd get where he needs to be, and then he'd kind of choke a bit and then get popped. I rarely saw Josh Taylor move his head in this fight. If you look at Josh Taylor early in his career, he's not like a bobber and weaver, but he had some waist movement, some head movement. There was no head movement. The jab, and they knew, that's what I'm struggling about with this Joe McNally. They knew the jab coming, right? You know the jab's coming. And it seems to be Josh Taylor was just spark in front of it every time it was thrown. There was no countering the jab. And it's obviously easy for me to say now, but I don't know, if you know he's going to throw a jab, and to be fair, Catterall was quick in the early rounds, but from round 6 to 12, I would like to have seen Josh maybe, I don't know, wait for Catterall's jab, slip it, and it's obviously, again, it's easy for us to sit here and say that, oh, slip the jab and bang something, obviously, you know what I'm saying, just slip the jab, and then bang, but this picture here, rather than get popped in your mouth, duck a bit and then bang your left hand, that left uppercut right in this section here. Because when you look at Catterall's jab, it's not like a Lennox Lewis jab. Pop, pop. It's proper like, whoop. This jab here almost looks like a right hand, right? If you didn't know the angle, if all you saw was the top half of Catterall, you'd think it was a right hand. The way he's leaning over. Normally jabs, yeah, you have a bit of shoulder flick, but it's a flick, it's a conservative punch. Jack's like, he's all stretched out, his legs are bent right over. This is he almost looks like a kickboxer, not a kickboxer, I don't know, some sort of stance, some wide ass stance, like Conor McGregor back in the day, 2013. Wide stance, weight loaded on his front leg. It's not a typical jab position. It's more, it looked, and again, the reason I said about Joe Joyce, Catterall's jab reminds me of a prime Joe Joyce. Catterall's a lot quicker. I'm not disputing that. But Joe Joyce's jab, it never looked like nothing, did it? It never looked like a real crisp jab. It just kept landing. Joe Parker, Dubois, it just keeps landing. And the way Catterall throws it, it's quite ponderous, but it's quick and it lands every time in the right place. Couldn't miss with it, almost. Very good precision. Whatever he's doing, wherever his body mechanics look off, like he's over leveraging, no one can look at this picture and tell me this isn't someone over leveraging their jab. Ultimately, though, who cares? You keep hitting this dude, though. But the reason I give you that context is to say that I'd like to think, who knows? But I'd like to think Teofimo Lopez, he'll be all over this guy. Yeah, because what Teo does have, what we saw in the jab, if Teo comes in on point, which he might not do, yeah, Teo might fall off, but if the Teo who fought Josh Taylor fights Jack Catterall, them jabs that he's doing, yeah, when Catterall gets tired in 6 and 7, them jabs, Teo gonna slip, three-piece off. That's just what's gonna happen. There's no doubt about that. Teo too quick for that. He ain't with that. Teo with the head movement. Teo got quick feet, quick head movement, and he knows how to slip, turn, and just let a three-piece off, and Jack will be like, whoa, he'll be bamboozled. He get pieced up. Devin Haney versus Catterall will be a more technical fight. I think Devin ain't got no chin. Yeah, all due respect. That jab from That southpaw, we know Devin struggles inherently with southpaws. I can see him giving Devin Haney some trouble. I don't rate Devin Haney like that. Especially now. We know he's chinny. So that's a more intriguing fight. Matthias, I think Matthias, if Catterall don't knock no one out, his only chance in that fight would be to knock Matthias out. Because if Jack Catterall can have the best 6 rounds, 7 rounds, like he did against Josh Taylor, Matthias ain't going to be with that though. Let's say you can say Jack Catterall wins the first 6 rounds. What happens when he gets tired in 7, 8, 9? Oh no, Matthias going to be all over him. Yeah? Because Matthias ain't shot like Josh Taylor is. And Matthias is a bad dude. Josh bends down really low, which is quite, I assume, energy demanding. He bends down really low, and it's not productive effort. He's doing all this ducking and weaving, he's getting popped anyway. He's moving up and down. He's changing levels, they say. I'm not. It's difficult. I felt sorry for Josh. In the 11th round, going into it, his trainer said to him, we need these 2 rounds. And Josh came out on his job and he got hit with a massive shot. It was a shame. It really. I wanted Josh. Who deserved to win this fight? I hate to say it, given the circumstances. Josh is shot. Josh is old. And yet he's the one trying to fight and win. There's only people. There was only one man, desperate to win that fight. It wasn't Catterall. He was happy to lose again on points and complain. That's what I saw. I wasn't impressed, and that's why I tell you, I'm not bitter that I didn't put money on Jack, because I don't like. It don't make a difference to Jack. Jack got paid. Good for him. I'm just saying, I don't want to support that behaviour, if I'm honest. Yeah, Jack Catterall's, and don't forget, it's nothing to do with me. Jack Catterall said, oh, his eyes are twist. Yeah? Oh, Josh Taylor's a sick man. Look at his face. He looks, I agree. Josh Taylor's face is like orange here. It looks like yellow, green kind of thing. He looked old. He looks stressed. That's the truth. Yeah? So if a man's old and shot and his eyes are twisted and his eyes is breaking down, what are you doing going from a 7-1 favourite to a 50-50? People, that's what it was. In fact, it ended up going, at one point, Josh Taylor was the favourite. It swung for a short period of time. How's that possible against a shot dude? If he's shot, how is he getting back into the fight, categorically, in the back half? It's the lack of heart, people, bottom line. Yeah? And to be quite frank, if Josh Taylor was a bit of a fresher fighter, there was points in there, it looked like to me like Jack was ready to give up. That's the truth. Jack wasn't getting hit with that much. That's, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was getting bad. But the little times he did get pressed, he didn't show me he really wanted to be there. He'd have been happy to get pressed and get out of there. And Matthias would press him and he'd be out of there. That's what I believe would happen. He hasn't shown me nothing. The first fight, he didn't show me nothing. He fell off for 6 rounds, the back 6 rounds, and then complained. The second fight, he didn't show me nothing. Yeah? That reminded me somewhat, and he won, but it reminded me of Tyson Fury's performance. Jack Catterall was happy doing what he's doing, and if he can win a fight doing what he's doing. If Fury could have won that fight doing what he was doing, he'd have won. But was Tyson Fury dying to win? No. There was only one man in the ring with Tyson Fury who was dying to win. It was Usyk. There was only one man dying to win in Taylor vs. Catterall 2. And 1, to be quite frank. And it was, because in the first fight, Catterall was hugging to death. Yeah? I respect Catterall. He wasn't doing so much hugging. In fact, I didn't like Josh would get in, and then he'd put his arm out and start leaning on him. Rather than digging his backhand in there with the uppercuts. He'd get on top of Jack. Jack would be bent over, and then rather than just digging, Josh would be engaging the clinch or putting his arm out and leaning. I think often it frustrates me, this narrative of, people say it to Tyson Fury. Oh, lean all over him. People. Anyone who can box, especially the Ukrainians, it's a myth. When have you seen someone lean on Lomachenko? When have you seen someone lean on Usyk? Their footwork's too good. And if I believe in boxing, if you focus on leaning on someone, you ain't focused on fighting. And we've seen it before. In fact, we saw it almost at the weekend, last weekend, with Fury versus Usyk. At times, Fury tried to clinch, and he caught him. He almost got caught like this, with his hands wide open. Because you're focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on BJJ and wrestling, rather than boxing. Focus on the craft at hand. Hit this dude. Yeah? Defend yourself from being hit and hit dude. Not hug dude. Never hug dude. Hugging dude can only take away from what you're trying to do. Especially when you're on... Josh Taylor from the jump was on the front foot. If you're on the front foot, what are you hugging dude for? That's Jack Catterall's job to do the hugging. He on the back foot. So Josh, he smothered his work at times. He was getting hit clean at times. He was second guessing himself consistently. which is something you just can't do as a pressure fighter. If you're coming forward and pressing someone, you can't be second guessing. You can't be. But again, that is the kind of the signs of a shot fighter. When you're where you need to be, and Josh was like, he just couldn't pull the trigger, and then it'd be a split second. He'd get there, get one shot off, and then almost wait for a reply, and then get popped. It's not even like he was getting one shot off and stepping off. He'd get in there, get one shot off, and then wait for get on him. Again, watch Floyd versus De La Hoya. De La Hoya wasn't doing that. De La Hoya would wade in, and then let go. Massive combinations. Were they all clean hitting? No, but he was keeping Floyd busy, and he won that fight, bottom line. I'm not going to lie to you. So, yeah. Did Catterall deserve to win? I mean, I had Catterall winning by a round or two. That card, what was it, 111, 117? They was smoking the dark. They was off the top boy. 2 light, 1 dark, for sure. Yeah, that was whack. He didn't win by 6 rounds. He couldn't have done, categorically. He didn't want it like that. It was a round or 2 at best. And it could have been a draw, the way I score things. And I'm someone who's backing Catterall. I expected it. People, when I saw the first 6 rounds, I was going in on the misses. I was saying, you just bumped me. You better send me that coin that you bumped me off. You told me to take the coin off because Josh was going to do something. He'd get beat up. But then a few minutes later, I'm like, actually. Well, certainly by the end of the fight, by round 10, I was thinking, even if Catterall wins this fight, I'm glad I didn't back it. Because he didn't do what he said he was going to do. Yeah? Catterall won this fight because Josh was shot. You know what I'm saying? That's why Catterall didn't grab this one. People, the first 6 rounds, yeah? Josh really weren't. That's the thing. Josh wasn't doing nothing different from round 1 to round 12. That's the point I'm making here. The fact that Josh got back into the fight had nothing to do with Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor was doing what he was doing the whole way through. I didn't see no changes, no adjustments, literally. It was a case of Catterall getting tired, Catterall slowing down. It wasn't nothing Josh was doing better. And Catterall got lucky, essentially, in round 11 and caught Josh with a shot. It was pure luck. That's the bottom line. So, I mean, someone's got to get lucky, but he did get lucky. He wasn't setting it up. It wasn't coming. Josh was all over him, and then he got hit, which was a shame. But yeah, spiritually speaking, Josh Taylor, for me, in British boxing, I can't really think of someone with more heart than Josh Taylor. Yeah. Yes, he could have let his hands go more when he was on top of dude, rather than clinching or whatever. But again, I think that's more to do with him being shot. He couldn't pull the trigger, it was quite sad to see, really. Someone do all the hard work, get there, and then choke. But in terms of heart, he can't control that. It's a bit like Ali when he was washed up. Of course, he's not the same fighter he used to be. Yeah, Josh Taylor's having his eyes operated on and all sorts. He's shot. He looks shot. On the screen on TV, the picture of Taylor vs Catterall 2. Josh Taylor's head here is like green. This guy's sick. But people, never mind my opinion. Catterall said he was sick. I think he looked old and a bit washed up. But despite that, and that's the true heart of someone. When you're fighting against odds, when you're having operations on your eye, same as Errol Spence. I put Josh Taylor, Errol Spence in a category. Even when Josh Taylor was getting the breaks, beat off him versus Teofimo. He wants to fight. Arguably too much. But in terms of heart, I'm trying to think in recent history. Josh Taylor reminds me of... I wouldn't put him on a Eubank or a Nigel Benn level. But for this new age, of these new age guys, he's old school. Name me a British fighter, who has more go in them. Even when things aren't going right, he still come in and try and find a way to win. Who got that today? I'm trying to think who. Damn sure not AJ. Damn sure not Fury. Who else you got? Damn sure not Lawrence Okoli. Right? He's the last person. Who else is there? You know what I'm saying? Who is there? It's kind of like that. For me, it's almost Chisora-esque. If Chisora took the sport seriously and was training and was fit, it's that kind of mentality Josh Taylor has, and that's Supremo. Catterall, honestly, not in a nasty way, but I want to see him get beat up. I think that's what he needs. That's what he needs, because he's in there fighting an old dude, washed up dude. Go in there with Matthias, go in there with Teofimo, and Teo will... He might not knock him out, because Teo's not like that. But he will piece. Catterall, Catterall might be in the mix for like 5-6 rounds. He might be in the mix for 5-6 rounds because of his speed. Because he's quick. He's quick and he's tricky. he might be in the mix for 6 rounds. When he gets tired, when Tio comes in on point, yeah, he don't get tired like that. We saw it with Josh. He can ping, and Tio keeps his speed, his IQ, his footwork for 12 rounds. And when Catterall slows down and starts kind of pondering backwards, oh no. And he puts one of them lazy jabs out as such. Whoop, beep, beep. That's what's going to happen. Tio slip off, boop, boop, and spin him around. We get touch all over. And Matthias has cut through him. Again, for the first 6 rounds, Catterall might win 4 or 5 of them. When the wheels fall off, oh no, that's going to end up being his arse. It's going to be his arse. I've never seen Catterall put his hands up either. He's always got his hands down. Especially when he gets tired. When he's at the start of the fight, he's got one hand up. What must be his left hand. And he's got a lazy lead hand. But then when he's knackered, he's got both hands down. And it works against Josh Taylor. I mean, we've seen him in there with O'Hara Davis. That was a close fight. OD just got knocked out by some Egypto-Mayan cat from 4,000 years ago. Right? Barroso. Older. Dude knocking on 65. Fact. Sorry, 65 AD he knocking on for. And yeah, boxing triangles don't work, but OD's is a fresher fighter than Josh Taylor at this point. And yeah, I believe Catterall probably has improved technically, except from the O'Hara Davis fight. But I'm just saying, if you're in there, I believe if you're in there, going life and death with Josh Taylor twice, which I believe he has done essentially. Yeah, essentially that fight could have been a draw last night, if I'm honest, based on how I score things. I got Catterall winning it on the point system, but it could have been a draw. I ain't gonna lie. Rounds 11 and 12 soiled it for Taylor, but without rounds 11 and 12, it was a Taylor win or a draw. So it is what it is. Catterall won by a round or 2. Even Eddie Hearn said that. It was a close fight. So, but I believe if you're having close fights with O'Hara Davis and Josh Taylor at this point, and even to be quite frank, when Josh Taylor became undisputed, I'm not trying to take nothing from him, but the belt, who did he take the belts off? It wasn't the caliber. Yeah? That Mexican dude he fought. That dude, I ain't even heard of him. Where he at? We don't know. Yeah? Devin Haney just showed that Prograis ain't all that. So, Prograis ain't all that. The Mexican dude ain't all that. And I believe Devin Haney, Matthias, even Pitbull. Oh, Pitbull. That would be an interesting fight, you know. Pitbull versus Jack Catterall. I think Pitbull will be on the arse. But then again, Jack's slick. But I think that low hands business with I think Pitbull might just cut through him, if I'm honest. I think Jack's got the head movement and the waist movement, but Pitbull, he ain't playing like that. He just ain't. He just gonna throw. And we saw when Josh Taylor was throwing at points, Catterall was getting hit. But I guess maybe can Catterall time Pitbull and catch him coming in? He might do. It's an intriguing fight. It's an intriguing fight. But Pitbull, how would I bet on that fight? Pitbull versus Catterall. I wouldn't bet on it because for me it's probably 50-50. But I wouldn't be surprised. The problem is, if Catterall don't do something serious within 6, he needs to be pinging against Pitbull for the whole 12 rounds. If he runs out of beans after 6 rounds and Pitbull's still coming in and winging away, he's in trouble. Matthias, the same thing. Tio, to stay in... Jack Catterall has to be... Jack Catterall, for me, to be like a 75% cert in these fights against Matthias, Tio, even Devin Haney. To be a high percent chance of winning them fights, he's got to have 12 rounds of gas. And he's got to have the fighter's heart. Which I haven't seen yet. We damn sure haven't seen 12 rounds of gas. Forget about that. But you have to... At the top level, the pinnacle, people have 12 rounds of gas. Bottom line. You don't see Devin Haney getting tired. Even when he's getting punched up. He's not, like, blowing. Tio, don't get tired. Matthias, don't get tired. Pitbull, don't get tired. This is just standard at this level. You can't be a 6-round fighter. And yeah, Jack looks supreme for 6 rounds, but unfortunately, this is men's boxing. It's 12 rounds. Yeah? Can he work on that? You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? You'd like to think so. But I think when you're that twitchy, twitch comes at a cost. When you're pinging like that, he has clearly got ping. You can just ping something off and it's sharp and accurate, but it takes a lot of mental energy and clearly physical energy. You're using all your short-term energy stuff, which you haven't got a lot of it. You can't be explosive for long. So when you're using them anaerobic energy systems from round 1, by round 6 they're gone. And if you haven't got, I reckon clearly Josh Taylor is not massively explosive. He's clearly not as explosive as Jack, but he's aerobic based. Josh Taylor can do that pace all day. Somehow Jack needs to change something somewhere. Either tone it down in the early rounds to have a best average, so you're not kind of trying so hard, you're kind of cruising at 70% and consistently hold that, or do something. But it's intriguing. I mean, does Jack deserve to have a world title shot? Absolutely at this point. We need to see him versus someone now, because in my opinion, so far, not his fault, but so far we haven't really seen him versus no one, if I'm honest. No one who's in their prime. And Jack Catterall clearly is in his prime now. He's not peaked. We need to see him in the big fight, but it's evident, in my opinion, we need to see him against the next level now. Josh Taylor is no longer an A-level fighter. At the best, he's a B-level fighter right now. O'Hara Davis, at best, is a C-level fighter. C+. We need to see Catterall in there with them A's now. Them fresh A's who are coming to win, etc, etc. Josh Taylor, where does he go from here? I mean, I wouldn't mind Josh Taylor going up in weight. Now, Joe McNally says, he can do the weight fine, but Catterall looked a lot smoother at 114. He's a smaller guy. Josh, look here, you can see his skin, his belly skin. It's almost like wafer. You know, if any of you have skinny grandparents, that's what this looks like, right? Skinny grandparents have this kind of, it's like not supple skin. Jack Catterall looks like a 20-year-old, right? He's got his life in his skin. When you're lean as Josh, yeah, and you see skin rippling like this, it's like saggy. It's not, obviously fat people have saggy skin, but this dude's bone dry lean, right? Look at his arms. Look at the striations in his shoulder muscles. So he's bone lean. When you're bone lean, yeah, and your skin is like, it's not a good look. So he needs to, bottom line, for his health, I believe, he needs to, at the very least, go up to 147. And for me, Josh Taylor should only be in big fights. Conor Benn would be a great fight. Josh Taylor, go up to 147 and take on Conor Benn. Conor Benn's still unknown. Conor Benn's off to gear now. Conor Benn can't punch. Now. Conor Benn has holes in his game. That'll be a big fight, right? Josh Taylor versus Conor Benn in the States. Bosch or wherever. Saudi. That's an intrigue. I'm intrigued to watch that, because that'll be Conor Benn's coming out fight, and Josh Taylor will get paid well. For me, Josh Taylor deserves, I mean, he's been paid well already. Josh Taylor must have 10 mil in the bank, I believe. Fighting Teofimo on the run to undisputed. He's getting at least $1 mil, 2 mil for each of them fights. So he's got 10 mil in the bank. He's nice. He's not going to be starving, but for me, his heart and his passion, what he's given the game, Josh Taylor has given the game everything, I believe. He couldn't give any more in his fights than he's given. Or he's certainly given at least 90% of what he had to give. So he deserved to get paid in big fights. I don't want to see Josh Taylor in there just fighting. And I don't think he will. He don't need to. But I don't want to see him just in there fighting anybody. It needs to be the kind of... He's not going to get Errol Spence. He's not going to get Crawford. Forget about that. He's just not going to get them. He's not in that mix anymore. It's not like he's undisputed and he's coming up kind of thing. That's never going to happen. I don't want to see him against Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis, just too fresh. It's kind of like the Conor Benn level. Conor Benn with a big name. Who else would there be at 147? Do I want to see Josh Taylor at 140? I'm not sure what he does. He's lost now, so he's out of the big fights mix. Devin Haney, Pitbull, all them guys, they're trying to take big fights. Josh Taylor isn't that now. If he'd have won this fight, he might have been, but he hasn't. So it's literally, I'm thinking, in my little knowledge, it's looking like Conor Benn to me. But that's an exciting fight. Yeah? That's that's kind of like a Dillian White versus Joe Joyce Chisora winner. The winner of Conor Benn and Josh Taylor moves on, and the loser's if Josh Taylor loses, it's done at that point. Unless he wants to just keep going down levels. If Conor Benn loses, it's like, oh shit. Like if Josh Taylor moves up to 147, I think that fight's 50-50. I'd probably back Conor Benn just because he's fresher, but we've seen Conor Benn in there having trouble making hard work out of randoms, so it's not. And Josh Taylor, full of beans or having 7 pounds more, can only benefit him. And he's a tall dude. Josh Taylor's like 5'10". Catterall's like 5'8", 5'7", so he shouldn't really be. Josh Taylor's been struggling at the weight for like ever, and he's like knocking on 35 or whatever he is now. And it's only ever Josh Taylor hasn't come up from 130 or 135. He's been at that weight. Who does that? It's like Errol Spence. There's no way you can be 10, 15 years into your career, yeah, and never have gone up in weight. It's impossible. Especially for a dude who's like Errol Spence. He's 5'9", 5'10". Taylor, he's 5'9", 5'10". You just can't do it, man. And it's showing. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, people. And to be honest, I wouldn't be mad if... I mean, the third fight, I'm down for that. This deserves a trilogy. The first one was interesting. The second one was even more interesting. To be quite frank, it was an 8 out of 10 fight. Really interesting. The third fight, if Catterall can't get one of the world champions soon, Josh Taylor, he ain't really got nowhere to go, but kind of like Conor Benn. Because Conor Benn ain't got nowhere to go either. So, if Josh Taylor can't get... Well, Josh Taylor should push for this Catterall match anyway. It's relevant, it's now, the fight was exciting, people want to see it again, so he should push for that. But if Catterall saying, oh, I'm moving on, well, if you can't get Matthias... Well, Catterall works with Eddie Hearn, so Matthias is with Eddie Hearn, Hayne is with Eddie Hearn. Either way, if you can't get any... Bottom line, if you can't get any of the world champions, forget about that and fight Josh Taylor again. I mean, I assume the money was good, and everyone wants to watch it again. But even more exciting, bottom line, you two have had, whether Josh won even if you say Jack won the first two, both were close. That's a fact. And I think Jack, for his own sake, needs to... Josh is only going to be more shot-worn after this fight. There needs to be a third fight, and Jack really needs to do something, somewhere, to get him out of there. That makes sense. Because from what we saw in the first 6, there's no reason really that this should have been a close fight. And forget about 117. This was a 116, 112 kind of fight, or a 115, 113 kind of fight. Like Eddie Hearn said. And that was Eddie Hearn's guy. That's just the truth. It just wasn't that fight. It wasn't a 117, 111 fight. It was 1 or 2 rounds. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad to hear that Josh Taylor's retired. And that would be my advice. If you can't get Catterall free, or Conor Benn, or some big name, like, you know what I mean? It's not relevant because Eubank's too big, but the Eubank, Conor Benn, rematch with Catterall, somehow magically get a world title shot. If you can't get any of them things, I don't think Josh needs a filler fight. That's not what I'm seeing. He don't need a filler fight. He needs a big fight to keep bringing money in because he deserves it, right? Anyway, let me know your thoughts, people. Smash the like button, subscribe, like off the bell, 100%, no doubt about it. Stop it.